Make deflation cool again. The war on deflation. Brandon Gentili here. ESG fail. The problem with and the reason why we will never fix the ESG and climate movement of Earth is a very inflationary monetary system we currently have. Listen up. ESG goals and climate healing will never happen in the current monetary system we have. I can absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, guarantee this. One, we know this because the limits of growth, the Club of Rome, the World Economic Forum has talked about this for decades. Climate change itself is just a ruse. It is to gain power and wealth, take it and take control from the masses. That is it. That's all it is. We know that. They've written about it. How many times do we have to go over this and talk about it? This is insanity. And we know mathematically it won't happen because their models are broken. They're using models that break every 10 years. It's global cooling, then it's global warming, now it's climate change. They have to keep rebranding themselves. And we know inflation, this consumerism, this never-ending growth, this constant growth, constant quarterly phone calls, earnings calls. What is it going to be? Is it going to be more? Is it going to be more? How can you be consuming more and more and more and more and then also want to help the earth at the same time and let it heal? Doesn't make sense, does it? We're all told how we're going to run out of oil, we're going to run out of fossil fuels, we're going to run out of this in the ground and that in the ground, but yet we just keep printing more currency. It's got to be more growth, more growth. Absolute insanity. Absolute insanity. Those two things don't go together. That's impossible. That's how I can guarantee the ESG movement, climate change movement, the global elites, that will never happen. This will never happen. It'll be a constant moving goalpost to just consume more of the wealth, take it from the people, take their time, energy, and wealth away. That's it. A generic problem with far-off goals built on faulty computer models. These are just the games the elites play to fool people into making them fear something. Fear is the name of the game. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. Fear. That's it. Donald Trump, Orange Man, Joe Biden, Barack Obama. Fear, fear, fear. It's that person, it's this person, it's a left, it's a right, it's conservative, it's liberal, it's black, it's white, it's man or it's woman. It's just a mechanism to get you to go into the Coliseum, watch the gladiators fight it out, go on MSNBC, go on Fox News, and not understand what's really happening around you and understand that they're destroying your currency. They're stealing your time, your energy, as we always talk about on here. Money is just an economic store, an economic container of your time and energy. That's all it is. They are stealing it from you daily through inflation. You cannot have sound moral, ethical principles of life. You can't have a climate movement and the earth healing itself if you don't have sound money. It's literally impossible. It's mathematically impossible. They just want to drum up fear to get people scared. That's how you can strip liberties away from people and control people. Fear. Fear, fear, fear. Again, if we are constantly fearing things we cannot touch or attain, then how do we fix them? And that's the point of the global elites and what they're doing, the Marxists everywhere. This is how they justify stealing all your wealth through inflation and transferring your time and money from them, or from you to them. I wrote that backwards. Stealth currency printing. Kicked off in 1913, sped up in 1933. 1913 was obviously the creation of the Federal Reserve, the IRS. Sped up in 33 by Executive Order 6102. FDR taking us off the gold standard. 1944 was the Bretton Woods system, again removing us from gold more and more and more, ever so slightly. In 71, truly off the gold standard. That was Bretton Woods 2.0, Nixon taking us off gold because there was a bank run on gold. The countries wanting their gold back. Kicked into overdrive in the '01 dot-com bust, and we had the Greenspan put, printing currency like crazy, solidified in '02 with helicopter bends, paper deflation, in his paper, which really probably gave him the Federal Reserve chairmanship a few years later. His paper, Deflation, making sure it doesn't happen here, which you can see below. And there's a great video from Mike Maloney going through this whole thing, decoding this, a 50-minute video decoding this entire speech. And this is the life we are living now, literally telegraphing exactly what's going on. And deflation, making sure it doesn't happen here. Why? Why can't deflation happen? Oh, that's right, because they can't steal your wealth that way with the sound money, with the gold standard or the Bitcoin standard. When there's a finite amount of money, they can't steal it from you. Inflation masks and covers all that. Again, then the afterburners in 2008 and 2020, printing hundreds of billions, then trillions. We're going to see quadrillions someday. I can also guarantee that. Now we're reaping the rewards of the elite's war on deflation. A hyperinflated collapse coming to a theater near you. You can bet on it. You can bet on it by buying some Bitcoin and getting into the one of only two finite assets humans have: time and Bitcoin. That's it. That's it. Better get off zero, folks. How the rich get rich. The only way to preserve your wealth, to grow your wealth in this inflationary economy moving forward, is two ways. One, stash away as many dollars, depreciating dollars, into hard assets as possible. So Bitcoin, gold, silver, real estate. Or number two, become a politician. Move to DC and get as close to the currency printer as possible. That's it. Central bankers, globalists, communists, and elites everywhere are waging a war on deflation. They wanted the war on women, the war on poverty, the war on drugs. They give you all this stuff to get mad at. What about the war on deflation? How come deflation gets such a bad rap? How come they hate it so much? They should tell us. Why is that? They can't. They just say, oh, things can't grow. You don't have credit then. Well, yeah, duh. Of course, there's actually merit in society. You actually have to build up capital to then go to work and do things. Actually, the government can heal, or the world can heal, the earth can heal, if we actually have people just taking a breath, a sigh of relief, and just sitting back and letting their capital build and grow. The people that actually have real ideas, real inventions get funded and actually make money, instead of just this spewing garbage and currency out and everywhere and funding anything and everything possible, just hoping something works, hoping the next SPAC works, hoping the next crypto NFT works, hoping this next ridiculous, tech unicorn, this 22-year-old is going to have some amazing invention. I mean, it's absolute insanity. We need to start funding merit, funding actual ideas. That's what deflation will give us. And again, for the people that say, well, then just incentivize people to just hoard things forever. Well, if all of a sudden you're hoarding one Bitcoin and it's worth $10 million in 10 years, do you think you're going to hoard it forever? No, you're going to sell off part of it. You're going to sell off 0.0001 of it and get your $100,000 and live off of it that year. And it's going to cycle into the economy. The next year, you're going to sell off another 0.0001, or you're going to lend against it. And it's going to go into the economy. It's going to go then do good things, or whatever it might be. And in hyper Bitcoinized world, it'll just be Bitcoin. And you could lend against it if we're still using a local currency or regional or national currency and paid no taxes on it if you're lending against it, and keep your Bitcoin. But in a hyper Bitcoinized world, when you're earning Bitcoin and you're actually providing value to society, you can just sell off a little bit of it. And again, we're humans. We want to buy things. We want to participate. We want to have that dopamine hit. So we're going to buy things. They're not going to hold it forever. You can't hold it all forever. You're going to hold some. You're going to pass down a good chunk of it probably. But when you're if you have one Bitcoin or half a Bitcoin, but it's worth, again, $1 million or $5 million or $10 million or $20 million of Bitcoin, you can sell 0.01 or 0.001 or 0.0001, and it's going to give you a ton to live on. That's the beauty of it. And then those sats go into society, and the circular economy goes around, and it only funds good investment. Again, they're waging a war on deflation. They've literally come out and said so. We also know right from the IMF, International Monetary Fund, the paper we shared the other day about financial repression. They have telegraphed what they're going to do. So they want inflation. They don't want a deflation, as Ben Bernanke said. And then this is how they're going to deal with inflation and getting out of the debt. So again, we have their roadmap for never having deflation, but we also know how they're going to deal with inflation they cause by printing currency and devaluing all the dollars and wealth you work for, again, causing inflation. That's how they're going to get out of this. They want inflation, and that's how they're going to get out of this debt to GDP issue. 130% debt to GDP. They're going to print their way out of it, devaluing the dollars and wealth you work for. This is why consumer prices and asset prices have ballooned in the last few decades. If you divide, Raul Paul has a great chart, if you divide all central bank printing, especially I think it's the G4 central banks, the big four, and you divide it by real estate, or you divide it by like the S&P 500, I believe, or it's the Dow, it's just flatlined. You've just kept up with the printing. You haven't even outpaced it. Only Bitcoin has outpaced it. It's the only finite asset. Smart money has moved into hard assets to try and preserve their wealth and purchasing power, while the 50% of the country that owns no assets continually gets poor and loses their standard of living. Thus is increasing the wealth gap that you always hear about, and increasing tensions, increasing unrest, increasing looting that we're seeing. Bitcoin became obvious when I found it a few years ago. I studied politics, believe it or not, as a middle school, high school, and college student, arguing with teachers, arguing with professors over and over and over again. And I only saw the political side of things for 10 years, from about 13 years old to 23 years old. That was then when I realized the system was busted. Then I studied business and monetary history for 10 years after the GFC when I was a senior at Michigan State, and realized, my goodness, some people are getting bailed out and a lot of people aren't. What's going on? There's a game being played. I need to figure this out. And I realized I needed to focus on myself instead of worrying about politics and things I can't change. You need both in order to understand the current world we live in. You can't just understand politics and fight in that world. You can't just understand the monetary side really either. You have to understand both to understand what's going on and what's happening in the world. The big secret, you don't change Bitcoin, it changes you. Bitcoin can shortcut 20 years for you. If I would have found Bitcoin, again, maybe 9, 10, not 20 years ago, but when it came out, it would have shortcutted a lot of things for me because then you go right to the source. You start learning geopolitics. You start learning history. You start learning monetary history. You start learning business and finance and energy. These are things that I've learned exponentially just over the last couple of years of studying Bitcoin. And it would have been a lot faster had I found it 10 years ago. And this can be your shortcut. I no longer argue conservative or liberal, red or blue, Republican or Democrat. Those are just games the governments and elites play, like we talked about earlier. They want to sidetrack you from the game that's being played in all of us, which is the transfer of wealth and time. All wealth is time, from the poor middle class to them through inflation, through the currency printer. They are waging a war on deflation. Fruitless. You cannot fix the system from inside the same broken system, as Jeff Booth always alludes to. It's like putting Band-Aids on bullet holes. I've thought about, for the last couple of years, making a podcast called Band-Aids on Bullet Holes. I really love getting to the core issues of things. I can't stand talking about these ancillary political games because it's not going to help anything at the end of the day. Again, the core fundamental issues. The system, the monetary system is broken, so all these ancillary things we talk about, gun rights, abortion, all these crazy things that the government gets us and the media feeds us to the meat to just go battle against, none of it would matter. A lot of it would heal itself if we fix the monetary system. Then things would start healing. You must build a parallel economy that can withstand the shocks that are coming in the legacy system. Be outside the system. Bitcoin is outside the system. That's the beauty of all of this too. You not only gain wealth over time, but you're outside the system. Why the elites don't want deflation. Again, we lost free markets and capitalism in 1913. When you have a manipulated currency and interest rates, it's over. We have creditism or consumerism or crony capitalism. Call it what you may, but only a finite monetary layer or a deflationary monetary layer that is cohesive and complements the deflation of technology will give us true healing politically, economically, socially, geologically, etc. If you have a finite money that cannot be censored, changed, printed, or diluted, then the elites lose all their power. They cannot put us in 20-year ridiculous, endless wars because they can't just keep printing currency. You might have a month or two, then the money's gone. Sorry, war's over. Can't go kill more people. Can't go get more of your people killed. All done. Better be worth it. Better be for a good reason. They are restricted by the code. They are restricted and bound by the code. Kind of like how the government used to be restricted by the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and being on a gold standard. However, this is enforceable now by software and hardware and cannot be changed through Bitcoin. Deflation fixes all this. Bitcoin fixes this. Rules without rulers, not rulers without rules. There are only two finite resources on this earth. One is time, two is Bitcoin. One switch to a Bitcoin standard as the monetary layer and the entire earth begins to heal. Stay strong, Brandon. And again, I may be starting to write a book about the American Revolution 2.0, about how Bitcoin is the Constitution, is the Bill of Rights, is the Declaration of Independence 2.0. So again, if you appreciate these videos, please like, subscribe, please share them with anyone you think might get a benefit from this. If you don't like it, please dislike it. Please share what you don't like and what we can do better, what blind spots we have, how we can be better and grow and provide more education and entertainment for you. So I really appreciate you spending time with us. It truly is the most important asset we have, like we said in here, and Bitcoin snipping on its heels because they are interchangeable. Time is Bitcoin and Bitcoin is time. We used to say time is money. It could be time is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is money and money is Bitcoin. Again, check out Bitcoin, Everything Divided by 21 Million by Knut Svanholm. Incredible book. Really mind-bending and context expanding. So anyway, appreciate you guys. Please check out other videos on inflation, deflation, many different videos on that and why this will fix the world going forward. And we really look forward to seeing you on the next one. And go check out, again, our other videos last week that we did on a lot of things I'm studying, the people I'm studying as well, that give me the knowledge I have and I'm grateful enough to have in my life and be mentored by. So I appreciate you guys. We'll see you on the next one.